So Emily, as we kind of wrap up our morning, any big words of insight that you're thinking about from the talks we heard?
Ooh.
I didn't tell her I was going to ask that question.
No, you didn't. And guess what? My mic's not working, so I can't answer it. Oh, dang it. It's working now. I think for me, one of the biggest kind of questions or insights, thoughts rolling around in my head relative to the keynote this morning. I thought it was interesting that Makulec talked about how journalists are being now trained in data viz. And I wonder if data visualization people should be trained in journalism. Because I think that there's a lot of similar elements in terms of data storytelling. And I think a lot of us, even if we're not in the journalism field, have an interest in doing something like data journalism, even in corporations or nonprofits or wherever we work, or for fun.
Great call out. Well, I hope you'll all think about what your takeaways were as we go into the lunch break. And before we do that, we do want to share a couple announcements. One that I think people have been asking me about, maybe. But also go back to our thank yous.
Yeah. So just a big thank you to our sponsors, Visa and Northwestern. Can you please give them a super huge round of applause? Yes.
And especially for our Northwestern folks, can everyone in the AV booth in the back wave?
Yes.
AV team. Yeah.
Give it up for our AV team.
You could not have a hybrid event like this without an amazing AV team, and huge thanks also to our team member, Rochelle, who's been fielding all the bits on StreamYard and hanging out with the AV crew for the past 2 days.
Yes, thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Steph. All right, thank you to our amazing committee who helped put this on. Seriously, they have done so much work, from getting the submission form out there to reviewing submissions, pulling it all together, trying to make a really good experience for you here in person in Chicago and our virtual attendees. For volunteers to give up their time to put on a conference like this is a lot of work. And so I know they've made my job way easier because they were so responsive and so willing to step up when needed. So I can't name all of you right now, but
stand
just
up.
know.
Stand up if you're on the committee.
Stand up,
Maybe
please.
you're outside staffing the exhibit booth. Yay! Thank you, team.
Yes, thank you. And a big thank you to Julia.
Woo! If you appreciated every one of those know before you go emails that you got over the last 2 weeks that helped you be prepared, thank you, Julia, for that and so much more. We are so grateful to have had you on the team this year.
Yes.
So looking forward to this afternoon, looking forward to the rest of the year, to Outlier 2025, if you guys are still interested after the course of the last 3 days. So I want to go back to a few notes from my slides as we opened up the week. So data viz as a field is constantly evolving. And that means that the shape that organizations like DVS will take is also going to evolve and change. We did host a great unconference conversation yesterday with a small group, and we'll continue having some conversations over the course of the summer, asking for your input on the continued evolution of data viz, including on things like how do we reach out and connect with more great creators and influencers and data visualization practitioners around the world and in other countries and spaces. We always go back to 3 key principles, though, that I think will hold constant: nurturing the data viz community, celebrating the great work happening in the data viz field, like with the IIB Awards, the Information is Beautiful Awards, coming up in the latter half of this year, and advancing the field of data visualization, continuing conversations about things like the intersection of data viz and Gen AI, data visualization ethics, and how we continue to share insights and ideas and set standards as a field of practice. So my call to action to you all is to really think about getting involved, find ways to write in Nightingale, mentor, organize, share. How can people do that within DBS, Emily?
Well, you can write for the Gale, the Nightingale. Mentor, we have an amazing mentorship program. I know people rave about it who've been through it, and the mentors have really found it fulfilling. You can also help us organize. Amanda mentioned that we have IIB, Information is Beautiful Awards, coming up. There may be an opportunity to help with that or any other part of DVS. And really, I think sharing is about sharing what you have learned through Outlier, sharing our content. Really, yes, we have thousands, tens of thousands of members, but think about how big the field is and how many people can be impacted if you share the benefit that you receive.
And we always love getting people involved who are data viz adjacent. So if you have data viz adjacent colleagues curious about data viz, we're always happy to be a soft landing spot for that. So Emily, drum rolls.
Yeah, everybody do a drum roll so that the virtual audience can hear you.
So we've gotten a lot of questions over the course of the past 3 days about, will there be an Outlier 2025? Yes. And where might Outlier 2025 be? Because at least one person said, if I don't know now, I can't get money then. So I'm here to hopefully help solve your problems and to talk about the ways in which we're actually going to take Outlier 2025 back to some DVS roots. And we are heading down to Miami, Florida, and hanging out with Alberto Cairo, who has generously offered to be our host for Outlier 2025. Now, I recognize that we're going down the United States of America to another state and another part of the US after we've just talked about how we continue to create more globally inclusive ways to bring people together. And so as part of the broader work that we're doing as the Data Viz Society, a one-year runway for planning allows us to create more space for having more distributed and virtual watch events, perhaps a satellite event in Europe or somewhere else, to enable that kind of gathering and connecting, to enable more people to attend without visa or financial constraints, and thinking more broadly about not just Outlier, but the other ways in which we connect people through our local chapters, through our other ways that we might do additional events over the course of the next year plus, and finding ways to create that sense of local community where you're able to connect with more people. And we consider the various different ways in which traveling to big global conferences can have different burdens related to finances, climate change, related to transportation, and other things. That said, though, I do hope that with a nice long runway that you all will be excited to join us in Outlier 2025 in Miami at the University of Miami. And we're excited to collaborate with our advisor, Alberto, on that event for next year. So beachy, going to be beachy next year.
I feel like LeBron said it best several years ago, and I'm taking my talents to South Beach. So
stepping on LeBron. This is where my Ohio college roots probably come out in full force, right? So as we go ahead and wrap up this morning and what this morning looks like and send you off to lunch, we want to recognize that this is not the end of our day, but rather this is your opportunity to shift over into your networking and doing gears. We'll go ahead and have lunch out in the atrium over the course of the next hour. Please also step outside, take a breath of fresh air, take a little walk, but come back here in the auditorium for Future Fridays happening in here at 2 o'clock. So we'll kick off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time. Future Fridays is also being hosted as a virtual workshop, so folks can join virtually. There are details in the platform as well as in other spaces. And I think as we think about bringing ourselves back to Future Fridays and think about all the things that we learned today, I'm excited to have Eli Holder coming and leading some of our Future Fridays conversations, talking about some of the ways in which we have these issues of visual villainy, and maybe extrapolating on the absolutely fictitious story that he shared with us, in case that wasn't apparent to anyone, about the ways in which he was asked to lie with data and there were alligators involved. But thinking about the ways in which we can continue to improve how we go ahead and think critically about how we communicate data. So, to you all here, did you all do your one piece of homework from Wednesday? Raise your hand if you did your homework already. Oh, yeah, excellent. Right. Raise your hand if you're going to do your homework by the end of the weekend. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Aha! Don't worry, I'm here for you. Your homework from Wednesday was to send a note, a single line if it has to be, to a person who has positively disrupted your data viz work. Someone who maybe doesn't have the big name that shows up in our annual survey, but someone instead who maybe dramatically or in a very small way influenced your career path and the direction that your data viz work has taken. So that is your homework as you're sitting and waiting for your airplanes or waiting for your trains, is to hop on LinkedIn or into your inbox and send that one quick note.
We also have another small piece of homework for you.
Mine's more fun.
Yes, Amanda's is more fun. We would love to hear from you. We have the QR code. I believe we're also going to send a link through the email, but just, look at the QR code, save that as a bookmark. And
It was also posted on Slack this morning if you're ambitious. I hope you waited till the end of today to fill it out, though. There's lots of good stuff still happening.
That's right. But seriously, we listen to all of the feedback that we get. We mentioned at the top that there was an idea from last conference around just being able to network together with people of like topics, and that's where community clusters came from. So we really do try to implement the feedback that we receive. So it's super important to us, and we'd love to hear from you.
And even more substantive feedback than decaf coffee and no oranges in the water, please. So that actually brings us to the end of our morning. We're about to head out to lunch and then again, come back here in the auditorium for Future Fridays. If you're joining us for Future Fridays, and I hope you will, which is a great way to go ahead and do a little Future Fridays in person, we hope you'll come join us up near the front of the auditorium so we can all hang out and collaborate together. If you are someone who's joining us virtually, and maybe it's, like 10 o'clock at night for you right now, remember that Future Fridays has been an ongoing series in collaboration with our partners at InfoGreat. Richard Sylvester was our former ZVS comms director, and it's been great to continue to collaborate. Typically, these are design sprints that happen over the course of 4 Fridays virtually every single month, featuring a luminary and a focus on a specific topic. So if you're looking, call back to the great talk from our Urban Institute colleague for ways to actually practice building data visualizations that maybe could go in your portfolio or showcase you practicing different skills. It's a great space to do that. So whether you are signing off for your evening or if you are joining us for Future Fridays today, we hope you'll stay involved in Future Fridays events. And I'm going to selfishly leave this right up on the screen so that before you walk out of here, you can take a picture of that QR code.
Yep.
Emily.
Yeah, so speaking of signing off, I think this is the last time I'll have the mic in my hand. So thank you for that.
We can talk in the afternoon.
I think maybe.
You have an airplane, that's right.
Yeah, I've got an airplane to catch later. So I just want to say thank you so much for your engagement, for you at home. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for letting me be my quirky, fun self and being super excited and, my mom moments of forgetting where my phone is as I'm holding it or where my glasses are. I really appreciate you all welcoming me in as the events director for DVS. So thank you so much.